everybody. My name is Miles, and I am here with my buddy Jared, and you are listening to the Photographic Collective Podcast. And today's episode is going to be a treat. It's a really cool chat with kind of a household name right now in the wedding photography world. We're sitting with an LA-based photographer, film and digital photographer who has really taken over the scene of just trendy, cool, fashion-first work, and has really become quite the name in the education space as well. So we're sitting with Summer Grace. She's a legend. She's such an icon. Jared, tell us a little bit about what to expect.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a great conversation. I think you're going to get to hear some about Summer's life and how she functions in her business and being an awesome mom and wife. And I just think you're going to connect with her because Summer is one of the most humble creatives that we've gotten to rub shoulders with. And I think you're gonna really hear that through her story and through this podcast. So stick with us as we jump into this podcast with Summer Grace.
Hey, tell us, catch me up on your life. We haven't seen you since New York, and you were like in the thick of like being absolutely the busiest person at Build in New York, and then you got to go home to your sweet little baby and your husband.
Baby Georgia.
Yeah, I'm still equally as busy, but actually, no, I'm not quite doing that many weddings this fall. It's kind of like a whole fall off, which is crazy because fall's like kind of wedding season.
That's wonderful. Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Why?
To focus on summer school and Georgia, and Jake's trying to go back to work, so we're just in a big life season change of craziness. He's worked with me full time for like almost 3 years now, so. Yeah, he's going back to pursuing his own dreams, which aren't being a wedding photographer, which is fine.
Okay.
And
No, but he's going to do cool things. What is that? Is that happening? Like,
yeah, this month was the month we were hoping he'd be almost full time, but we decided this in like April or May. So, he had 2 months to maybe try and find work as a freelancer, which is, as a wedding photographer, you would understand too. That's crazy,
Yeah.
And so he's made it about like halfway to the income goal for this month, which is not bad at all. Way better than I think we expected, considering he hadn't been working in his industry. So he didn't necessarily have the connections he needed in April or May. So yeah, I mean,
tell us,
to be in the music industry. Like,
remind me where you guys are.
We're in LA.
And how long have you been there?
So we moved straight from our wedding. So we got married 2 Octobers ago, right? Question mark. And then we got pregnant. So
yeah, you did.
Now, so we didn't really adjust to living in LA, in my opinion. It feels like we're just now living in LA, but now there's a baby. So it's not like we can go out and meet a ton of people and, do all the things that young people moving to LA would do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sad? Are you sad about the weddings? Like, are you sad that you're stepping back like from that in the fall?
No, I don't think so, because I'm teaching at, oh my gosh, probably 6 to 8 things as long as they don't get canceled. So I'm still doing things. Maybe they're not quite as high paying as, that. It's the income side of weddings that stresses me out some, because it is so nice to get, 5-figure payments like multiple times a month. That's crazy. So it's more of that reliability that kind of is a little stressful. But outside of that, just stepping back some, I don't mind at all. I think I'm still going to be shooting because I'm teaching, and a lot of those things have shoots at them, or I'm leading a shoot, or, it just depends on what it is, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person. So I'll still feel very involved in the photography side of things. So yeah, I'm not quite sad at all. I'm still booking weddings. I have a call with a client, or future client, I guess, hopefully today, to talk about their wedding for next year. So I'm still booking things. I'm just trying to not quite do as much, because I don't feel like summer school got enough of my attention, and it felt like I was juggling doing everything not good enough. Like, I'm doing wedding photography, I'm doing summer school, I'm being a parent. It feels like I'm full-time doing everything, but only able to like part-time give my energy to all of them. And it wasn't working, you know?
I can resonate with that
Yeah.
a lot. I think that's probably like something all of us end up feeling. How do you think that affects you? Now we're just talking to me. Here we are. You're officially just like preaching to this choir.
She
How
just
does that-
flipped the podcast.
How does that affect you creatively when you feel spread too thin like that? Like, have you been able to see it? I know other people would never. I mean, your work is amazing, but like, have you been able to see it in your work?
I think some of my best work is some of the stuff I set up for myself that's maybe unpaid and just really fun and creatively life-giving. And that's the only side I would really say is maybe taking a hit. And there's so many factors outside of stepping back from weddings that play into that taking a hit. And I'm in a new city. I don't have the connections I used to have. And there's so many logistics that go into it too. LA is just a harder place to shoot in to me. Living here, I'm a rule follower, and it feels as though there's so many rules and permits, and I need to just not care probably and shoot places because that's what 19-year-old Summer would have done. Like, I would have just done it. I wouldn't have thought about it. And so it's more of maybe a time thing, you know, which with not shooting weddings, hopefully I'll have the time to set up those kind of shoots. And I've been reaching out to people that I'll post a random model call, get all these DMs, and then I never follow up with any of them. So I have been, even in the past couple of days, like DMing some of the people back and saying, hey, let's actually make this happen. Because that's some of my favorite work that's I post on my Instagram a lot or my website, just things that have maybe meaning to me. And I know there's meaning to me when I do client work, of course, but I think all of us, we did start as artists, even though we're making money from things. And I used to challenge myself to do free shoots or just shoots for myself like quarterly. And now it's maybe once a year if I can figure out the time to do it. So I'm hoping with doing a little less weddings, I can actually prioritize that a little more because that's when you can play and do weird things and push yourself and do all the things that maybe I wouldn't do on a paid session.
Okay. I have so many questions now because I do think like one of the things I've always thought was really cool about you was how like not risk adverse you are. I love that you call yourself a rule follower because in your work you totally break rules like perpetually. And how do you know, again, you're just speaking to me, our listeners bug out. Like, how do you know, Summer, when you have a good idea? Does that make sense? Like when you have a creative idea that you're like, this one is good. And then I guess like two parts to that. How do you get through the noise of all the bad ideas?
I think the only way to get through the noise of the bad ideas is to have them and probably do them and hate them, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you're truly going to know if something is a good idea or a bad idea until you try it. But trying it is the only thing that'll teach you what's good and bad. And then that goes into even taste, which could be a whole philosophical tangent. Yeah. But just, you know, refining your taste and spending the time to do things that maybe are outside of your normal so that you can understand your taste better and what you like and how you're evolving. The craziest thing for me was as I grew in my career, I started being so aware of what was good that that was the one thing that started holding me back. When I was first starting, I was doing every weird thing under the moon. And I'd look back on it now and be like, oh, you know, what was I doing? But I was doing it. And I think now I wish I was doing it more than I was thinking, oh, no, but I need this perfect light to do a shoot like that. When I was first starting, I would have just done it. It didn't matter if I had the light. I would figure out some way to create the light. If I used an iPhone flashlight, it doesn't matter. You know, it just really doesn't matter. And that has been the weirdest change, was being so aware of what's good that it then made me not even want to make things.
That's so cool. We had a conversation, and Jared, you could probably help me expand on this a little bit, but I think it was actually, it was our last episode with Tom Wright. I don't know. Do you know Tom, Summer?
I don't know. Maybe.
You're going to.
Tom's a great friend, really, really cool guy in the UK, extremely talented photographer, but also like, he runs kind of like a photo consulting companies, called phototherapy and color
It's
therapy,
phototherapy, I think. Oh,
And
yeah.
anyway, he's brilliant, but he broke down to us, what he's seeing in the industry right now. And it was fascinating. He was basically saying, like, you have all these people that are like high level technicians. And I think this will like speak to you. He was like, I don't even call those people artists. And he's like, I'm not trying to be offensive. I just think of them as crafts people, right? Like they have a craft and they're trying to refine that craft, and that's what they're doing. And then you have people that are sort of like savant, and they just create, and they don't necessarily understand what
The
fuels the
technical.
creativity, or like what they're doing right or wrong. And I thought he had a really interesting point, though. I actually thought of you in a totally not offensive way. I totally thought of you when he said this, because he was like, the struggle is that a lot of those people end up burning out at a young age because something little takes them out, right? Like they never learn how to back up their work correctly, or like they don't ever establish a voice for their brand because they're too focused on just creating something they're proud of, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I've met people like
anyway,
that.
he's speaking me through all this stuff, and immediately, like, my thought is, I'm like, Summer, I want to ask her what her thoughts are on this, because you've made this transition at a relatively young age, honestly, from like wild artist that is kind of like, viral ready artist, like very followed, very sought after work, to now you're like highly respected creative. And you made that flip. It was like a light switch. You just went from like, hey, at least the optics were, you were like, I'm Summer. I'm a creative. I'm wild and I'm fun. And I'm, like, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I can teach you how to be successful in that.
Yeah. Well, there's the side of the business side, which I was born with. And sometimes I almost don't relate to artists, which is the interesting part of all of it, because I think people see me as such a creative or an artist, but I've always been creating to sell things, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I am so blessed that I am both creative and gifted, at least in some capacity, with a business part just like built into who I am. Because my husband is the polar opposite. Just true artist would be homeless for his art. It's so cute, and it's not me. And when I met him, I was like, oh, wow, I am different. Like, I'm not only creative. There's this driving factor that almost pushes my creativity that does have to do with booking, sales, entrepreneurship, which is really weird. And for some people listening, they're like, she's psychotic. But what's interesting is there are people like that the only thing they choose to do because they have that entrepreneur in them is they choose to scale and have associates and have a 30-person photography team, and it's super corporate. So I do think it's been cool that I've been able to both stay an artist and still fulfill the business side of myself that I enjoy as a wedding photographer. I went to a conference 2 or 3 years ago, and I left it feeling horrible. There's some conferences you go to and you leave it and you're like, I'm on top of the world. I'm going to create my best work ever and go conquer literally the world. And then sometimes you leave and you feel depressed and you're like, wow, I hate everything. I'm doing everything wrong. My art sucks.
I quit.
And my business, everything's horrible. And it's not actually true. I don't know what it is about absorbing so much information at once that you just leave it almost depleted. And one of the main factors was there was a lot of almost maybe more mindset art-driven talks, which is fine, completely fine, really great. So many photographers need them. But it left me almost feeling not good enough. And I had to go home and sit with that and say, no, I know I'm really good at what I do. And I just approach it a lot differently. But I needed to understand why, to understand how to even communicate, who I am as an artist and a business person to other people. I don't know. I just needed to know, like, okay, why do I feel this way? And what do I do about it? And that was one of the reasons that brought me to what I'm about to say, that I think in a lot of ways, my art is business. And because I learned to accept, like, doing business really well, it can then fuel and empower creating art better, because I can take steps back from weddings and I can, do the things that I need to do to take care of both my family and my creativity, and they can all work within themselves. But I had to be okay with the fact, like almost accept that I am a business person too. I don't know. It was so weird. It was so strange. And it might sound dumb, but I think some people probably relate with that, where when you hear someone really artistic speak, you just sit there and you're like, that's cool. But how'd they do it? Or, how does that apply to me? It doesn't. Like, it literally doesn't. And knowing that, just accepting that business can be an art too, in how you run it, how you treat your clients, and how it operates, and how it then gives back to you and your life and your friendships and your family, and accepting that if you do have any sort of skill in that, like, run with it, because it's honestly seems pretty rare.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Did I just go down a
No,
long
that's
rabbit
good.
hole?
No,
Oh.
that's really good. Summer, do you feel like you've had to like resist like the popular things or like popular trends to stick to the stuff that's kind of true to yourself?
That side of things, I don't know if I've had to avoid any sort of trends. I don't care for the Dutch angle. I don't love that. Or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that's what it's called. I don't care for it. I think it can be tastefully done really well, and that is super rare. And I don't care to figure that out. Like, I think half the time it's just a crooked image. It doesn't look, it looks really cool when really talented people are doing it. But
Yeah.
I am not here for the Dutch angle, which is interesting because I think people seeing my work would assume I would be, but don't love it. Maybe I'll take one or two on a wedding if it's perfectly composed. I don't know.
So I'll just off that question. Do you feel like your growth in like your network of people and people that follow you has happened by you just doing what you feel is true to your craft and the things that you love? Like you've been able to kind of like, I don't know, I just feel like I've fallen into the trap so many times of being like, this is what's working for other people, so I need to do this because I want to grow and I want people to follow me and I want them to love what I'm doing. Like, do you fall into that at all?
In some ways, there's obviously certain business things that'll work for people that I'm like, okay, I need to get myself to do that, and just suck it up and do these things that clearly work. But when it comes to being yourself and having a personal brand, I truly believe it doesn't matter who you are. You could be like, I don't know, drinking at a wedding, cussing with your clients, things that I would personally never do. But I do believe that you can absolutely do whatever you want to do, dress however you want, and you can find your people and run a successful business doing it. And I'm not going to change who I am to fit into whatever kind of client I'm trying to attract, unless I need to, unless I'm trying to appeal to a certain clientele and I need to dress that part. That's fine. That's a choice I'd take, but I'm never going to change like who I am at my core for my business. And obviously personal branding is important, but I think 100% everyone can be successful in whatever way they want to. You just have to choose that that's what you're going to be, and that's the kind of work you're going to put out, and that's how you're going to present yourself, and just be yourself. I 100% believe you don't have to conform, follow any stupid business thing that doesn't align with who you are. Just be yourself and you got this. I don't know.
That's good. No, that's really good. That's encouraging.
So I guess a question for you off of that, because I see you as, I think I told you this in New York, but I see you as wildly successful, like wildly successful. But in a way that has a lot of humility to it. It's really, I think it's really attractive, like from an artist's perspective, to be able to spend time around you. It was, I really enjoyed, I don't know if I even had the opportunity to really tell you that, but I enjoyed just being around you, because the people that were drawn to you are people that are not trying to like fake their success. They're just people that are like truly enjoying what they do and who they are and the art that they create. It was cool to find myself in that circle. But I guess in that realm, like when you think of success, because you've talked about that a lot, you've said that word like, I don't know, 15 times so far.
Sorry, everyone.
No, that's okay. But how do you measure that? Like, what is that for you? Like, is that growth? Do you measure it? Like, is success for you in skill or in impact or in money or in time away from work or more time with Georgia and Jake? Or like when you use the word success, what is the metric that you base that against?
Yeah. Well, I think everyone should have their own definition of what success means, but I say this all the time. So if someone's already heard me say this, that's fine. But I always ask people, like, if you had a life mantra to live by, what would it be? And mine kind of ties into success, which is why I'm bringing it up. But mine would be, I want to live to work. I don't want to work to live. I want to either love what I'm doing so much that it no longer feels like working, or I want to genuinely maybe not be working and still having all of my bills met and being able to help my family retire, things like that. So that can go one of two ways. Yes, it could mean I'm wildly wealthy one day. That'd be cool, that'd be fine, but it's not the only thing that defines success for me. If I'm just meeting my means and I'm happy and I'm able to take care of those in my life, and I do have goals, obviously, financially, if I would love to help maybe my parents retire early one day, just little things, things like that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I want to live to work. I don't want to work to live. I genuinely want to love what I'm doing so much that it doesn't necessarily feel like work anymore. And I do think I feel that way. It's also probably the toxic trait that ends up with me working at like midnight because I love it. It's not because I'm like, oh, shoot, I need to do this. Like, no, I genuinely just really love what I'm doing. And I think that's like a awesome place to be in, that not everyone in the world gets the opportunity to say that they genuinely, there's not a ton of people in the world that can say, I absolutely love the work that I'm doing that provides for myself and my family. And that's just crazy that I get to say that. And I think the side of it, the sustainable side that I'm working towards, is accepting, maybe I don't need to be a luxury wedding photographer. Maybe I want to stay home more and not be traveling for destination weddings. There's sides of that mantra for myself that I've had to change and evolve as life evolves. And right now I'm completely fine with having maybe less income to be home more and just to be here and maybe pivot in some ways, and pour more into summer school and just know that success isn't one shape fits all. It's not super high, ultra luxury weddings. It's not being a millionaire. It's just whatever makes you happy and is sustainable for your life.
See, I just think that's such a cool perspective. Sorry about my dog barking.
Oh my God.
I think it's such a powerful. Sorry, Jared.
He's a doodle.
Best editor in the business. I think. Good Lord. I think it's such a powerful perspective just because you are like, let's go there. You've mentioned summer school a handful of times. One of the reasons that we wanted to have you back on here, not only is because some of my favorite conversations I've ever had with a microphone have been with you.
You're too kind.
On both of our podcasts. But like, I really see you as an educator that is sort of like swimming upstream. When the easy money right now is in telling people that you're going to make them money. That's what like the cheap cash is doing. And like educators and listeners, photographers, I'm not taking swings. This isn't me trying to like, shots fired. I'm just saying like it is significantly easier as an educator right now to say, I'm going to tell you how to make your first 6 figures and then your second 6 figures and how to scale a business and like all of the shortcut type things. But it really feels to me like you've come at your education from almost a more like holistic perspective to say like, hey, let's make you proud of your art. Let's make you proud of the life that you live. Let's recapture time for your life. What fuels that? Is that stuff that you have had to fight through that you're like, this is now stuff I want to pour into people? Or is it just that's the stuff that you feel the most capable of teaching? Like, I'm so curious as to how you've ended up in that lane.
Yeah, well, So I feel era of me getting into teaching. So maybe 3 to 5 years ago, slash obviously now too. I'm still in that era of like growing and, all the things. But the era of me wanting to learn more about it and get more into it was also the era of every six-figure that course mastermind that has ever been launched, in my opinion, from the outside looking in. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like the marketing. I didn't like the sales side of it. Something just felt really off. And I think our business hit six figures within maybe 9 months of me quitting my job. And I had never even shot weddings before I quit my job. So I'm not against hitting those kind of metrics. Like, I enjoy business. I like business. But at the same time, I just don't love it for the wedding industry, for the photography industry, not even wedding industry, just for the photography industry in general. Don't love that sort of sales and mindset because one, at the end of the day, someone hits $100,000. How much did they spend? How much did they invest in their business? I've had many six-figure years where we are like barely scraping by because I'm pouring so much into the investment side of growing this business. And then a lot of times, even the more you make, sometimes the less you make. There's so many sides of it that I just hate that that's a metric that 6 figures means you're wealthy. Okay, a 6-figure business could mean you're only personally bringing in 30 or 40 in income, depending on how you ended up spending your money that year. And that doesn't mean that's bad, that you only like profited 30 or 40. You could have grown something way better than the person next to you that profited 70. But I just don't love that that's a metric that we've chosen to define success by, because $80,000 for someone living in Georgia with a husband with a second income is a lot different than maybe a 26-year-old who doesn't have any health benefits and doesn't have a significant other, or maybe they're a single parent and maybe they need to hit, for our business living in LA, I'll say it, we need to hit at least 300,000 or more just to survive. That is not to make good money in the business, not profit, obviously. I would be loaded. That was straight profit. But just in the business in general, that's the metric it has to hit. And so I just don't love the conversation of something being successful being so definable, because genuinely for every single person, no matter where you live in another country, you live in a different state, it's just going to look so much different. And even maybe 60 grand, given someone's circumstance, could be plenty of money. And so I just don't love that maybe that person doesn't feel like they're running a good enough business when they don't need to make $100,000 at the end of the day. So I don't know. I just don't think it should be that black and white. And it does feel like it's only for a sales pitch. Join my 6-figure business program and I will help you make 6 figures. Okay. And what? Are you happy? Are you burning out? Do you hate your life?
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom
know.
in that. Yeah, no, there's a lot of wisdom in that for sure. I mean, I don't know, maybe that takes some time for that to kind of settle in after having some experience in business to realize, like, it's not all that,
Yeah.
like it's not all that. Okay, can we step back a little bit and talk a little bit about motherhood and
Gosh.
just the balance? I know, because I want to know, like, it was so cool. I told you this already, but like, I just have so much respect for you. You're an awesome mom, an awesome wife, and you're running a killer business. And I want to know how. I want to know.
Oh gosh, I want to know how.
No, and yeah, right. Well, I mean, I want to be able to connect with our listeners that maybe are in the same boat of being a mom or being a parent and trying to run a business. I mean, I'd love to just hear from you in that, like, what's been the struggle there, and like what's been the reward in choosing this path of like being a mom and still continuing to pursue education and creativity.
Yeah, well, I mean, education, if anything, should enable me to be home more. So I was already on this path well before pregnancy and motherhood came about, but
Yeah.
I think that just expedited this path a lot more, because I thought I had maybe 5 to 10 years to figure out how to not be maybe physically shooting quite as many weddings. And instead, when I did get pregnant, for everyone listening, I'm fine admitting this, it was not on purpose, which is totally okay. I
Way to
have
go,
a
Jake.
wonderful
Oh my
husband,
gosh.
love him, love our family, but is not like planned in my 5 to 10 year plans, you know? So I thought I probably had 10 years to figure out how to be home more. And we had been, I feel like I had been planning this for maybe the past 3 years of trying to gradually evolve my business in some ways with a 10-year mindset, not with a 1-year mindset. So all of that to say, everything just got put in, I don't know, like overdrive. Just got to figure this out. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I have everything figured out, you know? Even during this podcast, I've heard her like crying in the other room. But my husband's with her, don't worry. It's one of those things where I don't think anyone will ever fully have motherhood figured out. And I've had to come to accept that. And it is hard. It is really hard, you know? And I think even harder was until Jake decided to make this transition to working again, the mental weight of being me personally, Summer Grace, being basically the face that brings in everything for the entire family. Terrifying. Did not love that. So I think having that weight off of me in some capacity will be a little nice, but I don't know. I think there's been so many things I've learned and so many things maybe I'd change. The hardest part for me, which this is just eye for the moms, I guess, is breastfeeding and pumping. The hardest thing for me is the fact that I've been having to do that at wedding days and at conferences. And I remember at the conference where Miles and I were out late. Well, you were there, Jared. All of us were out late. I'm literally like pumping at the table. I was doing it at the table, like covering with a jacket. Wow. No one knew. I was just
I knew because you had a jacket on backwards. I made a comment to you about it. I was like, I remember that life.
You're like, what is that noise?
Yeah. So literally, that's the hardest part. I think for me, pumping is harder than being pregnant, and every mom's gonna have a different opinion on that. But that's so hard, and doing that at weddings is wild. But I'm not really getting into the mental side of it, I guess. But it's not easy, and it's not one shape fits all. And yeah, when I'm on solo parent days and I think I'm gonna get a lot done, I get nothing done, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. And at the same time, I think parenthood, once you become one, actually also in some ways for me, has made me almost you have to just more disciplined. I almost feel as though I'm getting more done now than I did before, purely because time is so much more valuable and you don't take it for granted quite as much as I did beforehand.
That's really cool.
It's
really good. Are there any like habits or like when you talk about disciplines, like disciplines that you've started that have been like game changers in that journey?
Man, I'm trying to think because honestly, when you're in the thick of new baby, it feels like everything is a blur. It's like, what am I doing? I don't know. When she was younger, if you might be becoming a parent anytime soon, when she was younger, she slept great in a stroller. So that was the thing. We did have a habit of going out like once or twice a day. Nice. And that was when we worked. That was basically the only time we worked. And we'd work for binge work for 2 hours at a coffee shop while she slept outside. She loved sleeping outside. Whereas now she's in I want to stand and fall and hurt myself every couple hours. So it's a little different now. Don't totally understand what that's even going to mean. But I mean, life hack, if this isn't weird for those listening, is we have a Y membership and my husband goes and works out and they have free childcare for 2 hours. And so if I really need to get some emails done and it's been a crazy day of mothering, I'll go sit on the rooftop and just work from my computer while she's in her little daycare and Jake's working out. So hack for you guys. I don't know.
That's right. Thinking creatively.
Yes, think creatively. When Jared's asking me for wise things, I don't know if I'm going to have wise things until I'm sleeping more in like a year or two, okay?
No, those are good, man. That's just reality. I love hearing that growth.
The thick of parenthood.
I think this is the wise stuff because like Summer, everybody's following along with your journey these days. Like I know you and I had a really cool chat last week, I guess, when you were asking more about Photoco and what we're up to. Just sort of like what's the goal there. And I get to know because we're friends. At least can I call us friends? I feel like we're friends.
I feel like we're friends.
Okay, good.
I hope you would say we're friends.
I just did. I get to know that there is this summer that exists outside of the like cool, like at any given moment you're holding 17 cameras and 4 different film stocks, and none of them are taking Dutch angles, but they are all shooting direct flash. And like there is this side of you that is so known, and then there's this side of you that really isn't, and then you don't hide it. You just, you know that that's not why people are following along. You know, they're there for the next like vibey photo or the next, you know, cool like businessy tidbit. And it was one of the reasons I really wanted to have you kind of back on here, was because as Jared and I launched this little platform of our own educational stuff, I want to remind myself, like I want to put a pin in this conversation and say like, I want to grow up to be like Summer Grace. Like,
Stop it.
I want to be an educator that has my family and my life and my health as like cornerstones of who I am. And then if people follow along because of the work or because of great advice in our platform or because of cool friendships like you, like that's great. That's fantastic. But the moment like my little buddies, Beckham and Gavin, take a hit, I'm out. And I feel like you would say, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you'd say the same thing. Like this is all for Georgia, not for you, right?
Yeah, which is the crazy part too, is I'm blessed that she's in the phase of being young enough that it's not like, Mom, what are you doing? It's like, I'm just answering an email real quick. Wait 1 second.
Yeah, it's coming.
I know. So that's also been the hurry in some ways, was I need to figure out how to do this, and I'd rather have sleepless nights right now than sleepless nights when she really, really needs me and can understand and can talk to me and, you know, so I would rather, you know, stay up late grinding it out now to provide a future where I can be so much more present.
That's cool. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool.
Crazy times.
That's big time. Okay, Jared, is now the time where we tease that we're going to do something better than this?
So much better.
This has already been really good, but listeners, if you've hung with us for this long, Summer's amazing. She's got this cool wealth of knowledge, and she's honestly like, you're all welcome. I'll say that. You're welcome. You get to sit here and just like have a cool conversation with Summer, with me and Jared. I feel nerdy and fangirlish every time we jump on a call, Summer.
Every time.
Miles is too nice.
But we're going to click over here in just a few minutes over into the Aftercast and do some exclusive content with Summer, where we're going to ask her a handful of like tangible things, just cool little tips and tricks. But before we do that, I want to make sure that it's super, super clear. We, Jared and I, and the whole photo code, like the whole community, we are such big fans of Summer School and all the things that she has going on. And so like, if you haven't already, click down into those show notes and check her out, because there is an entire world over at Summer School that's growing and thriving. And Summer is a really special voice to be a part of all of that. So
another awesome episode with awesome people. Cool. We got a trend going here.
I think that Summer is quietly brilliant. Like, she is so young, and she just seems like she's got such like wisdom.
Yeah, I liked what you mentioned. You mentioned our New York time with her, which is going to be the first time I've been around her, and you just talked about like she does have this like humility that kind of oozes off of her, or has this aura of humility that does attract people to where you're like, and I hope that podcast showed it too, that like she is very normal. You know, she's a normal creative that is very, very gifted, and just approachable. I love that. I want that to be said of us. So I'm inspired by her.
I am too. I think that there is something really special about the fact that she is, the way that she explained business as art, I think is, we've never had another guest that has touched on anything like that. And I don't think I've ever really taken the time to think. Most of us compartmentalize those two things, right? Like, it's time to be a business owner or an entrepreneur, or to make some money, or to have a good idea. And then like, it's time to be an artist. And Jared, I mean, you and I both, man, we struggle with that on a daily basis. Just like how do we find joy in the business part? Because sometimes that's where, it's easy to find joy as the artist. You're creating things that you're proud of. It sounds to me like she's found a lane to where she's like, even when I'm doing the business stuff, I'm creating something I'm proud of.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. I mean, it's inspiring because I think it can be just a life sucker, like just sending invoices, getting contracts out, like trying to like communicate. Like we scream from our brand, like communication being so key, but actually like finding joy in the communication, which I mean, I do. I think that we really do love that at the end of the day. We love being able to communicate well and everybody be on the same page. And but yeah, I mean, that's interesting to think like there's an art to that. There's an art to communicating well. And in the end, if you do it well, it's a really beautiful thing, even on the business side. What else did you think from her talk?
Ben, I had some fun thinking through, you and I both have kids that are a little older than Georgia. We're a little further along in this parenting game.
I remember though.
And it was fun, wasn't it, to think back and like she's talking about the era that she's in, like having a pump and having to just think through that. She mentioned the sleepless nights, and
it just makes me think this girl, she's a hustler. You know what I mean? Like, and it is interesting. I mean, she brought it up like when God blesses us with children, like it is a game changer, and so often it's a game changer for the good. Yeah. And she talked about how it's made her be, I don't know if she used the word efficient.
She said
but
disciplined.
That's what disciplined. Yeah. Which I mean is like, it's time to wake up. It's like you can't I can't spend the evening playing Nintendo anymore. Like I got responsibilities and I got to be disciplined and I got to be efficient in my workload so that I can care for the things that matter now. And so, I mean, I think she said that in so many words, and I think that should inspire our listeners too, that like, there's a way to do it,
Yeah, isn't it cool? Like,
gotta get scrappy.
I think a lot of times just like culturally, we talk about our kids as though they're like a burden, right? It's like, oh man, I got to go do this or whatever. But think through, how neat is this? The last 3 episodes now, right? So we've had like Lauren, she's got an uphill battle on her hands with her son, with Noah. Lauren Ashley. And then we have Tom, who talks about how he spent a lot of the last year having to work basically 1 hour a day.
Yep.
Right. He essentially got 1 free hour a day while his son was going through some stuff and in school and whatever. And now you've got Summer, who's, she's got this little bitty baby, and Grace is perfect. And I mean, I'm sure they all are, but I'm sorry, not Grace, Georgia, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep all these people's kids' names straight.
Gosh.
But how neat is it to have now 3 guests in a row that have been able to say like, hey, I'm successful not despite my kids, but maybe because of them.
Totally. And I feel like you ask every one of them the question, like, is it worth it? Yeah. And I think they all come back and they say, definitely. So
makes me want to go like hug my babies. It makes me want to go to the other room and just like squeeze them. It's the last day of summer, Jared, and I'm like, what am I doing on a podcast with you?
I thought you were about to say it makes you want to go have another kid, but
definitely that does not. These podcasts have not been that convincing.
But I love it. I'm
listeners,
super grateful.
if you have
for
a
her.
child because of our podcast, please send
let
us
us
a
know
message.
in the comments. Oh my gosh! All right, another great one, man. Another great one.
Hey, quickly, you guys, before you bail, this is the good stuff.
Aftercast.
The aftercast was epic.
You're gonna want it. You guys want to hear what Summer has to say.
So hey, if you are an aspiring film photographer, or you're just curious, you're like me. I'll say this: I have shot a lot of film in my life, but like I'm curious about these photographers like Summer that have made film such a central part to their business. If you're curious about what that looks like, how they do that, Summer gives us a pretty cool, just sort of like an honest perspective on what that looks like for her and where she started and maybe where you could start. So that and more exclusive content is waiting for you over in I can say it now. We are open
Let's go, baby.
in the Photo Co., the Photographic Collective platform. Information on all of that is in the show notes.